Hey everyone, today we're diving into some of the funniest mistakes that ended up changing the world as we know it. You won't believe how some of these blunders turned into brilliant discoveries. From messy labs to kitchen mishaps, these stories prove that sometimes the best things in life are unexpected. So buckle up, get ready to laugh, and prepare to be amazed by the power of happy accidents. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more amazing content. Our first tale of accidental brilliance takes us back to 1928, to the laboratory of Alexander Fleming. Now picture this. Fleming's lab was a disaster. Seriously, it looked like a tornado of petri dishes and test tubes had swept through the place. Alexander Fleming. One day amidst the scientific clutter, I noticed something peculiar. Mold, yes, the green fuzzy kind, had infiltrated one of my petri dishes containing bacteria. But here's the kicker. The mold was actually killing the bacteria around it. It was like the mold had declared a microscopic war and the bacteria were losing big time. Fleming had a hunch. This mold wasn't just any mold, it was a medical marvel in the making. He identified it as Penicillium notatum, and bam, the antibiotic penicillin was born. Thanks to Fleming's accidental discovery, we now have a powerful weapon against bacterial infections. Our next stop on the accidental brilliance train takes us to 1853, where we meet Chef George Crumb, a man who took his culinary criticism very seriously. Chef George Crumb legend has it that a disgruntled diner kept sending his French fries back, complaining they were too thick and soggy. I sliced those potatoes paper thin, fried them to a crisp, and doused them in salt, figuring there, let's see you complain about these bad boys. But to his surprise, the crispy, salty creation was a hit. The potato chip, a snack food for the ages, was born from a chef's quest for revenge. Talk about turning a negative into a positive, or in this case, a soggy fry into a crunchy masterpiece. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to unravel the mystery of the Post-it note, a true testament to the power of oops. Our story begins in 1968 with Dr. Spencer Silver, a scientist at 3M who was on a quest to create a super strong adhesive. But as fate would have it, Dr. Silver didn't quite hit the mark. Instead of a super strong adhesive, he ended up with a weak one. An adhesive that would stick to things but also peel off easily, leaving no residue behind. At first, nobody knew what to do with this invention, but then, a few years later, a colleague named Arthur Fry had a light bulb moment. Fry was frustrated with his bookmarks constantly falling out of his church hymnal. He remembered Silver's weak adhesive and realized it was the perfect solution. It could hold the bookmark in place without damaging the pages, and thus the Post-it note, a stroke of accidental genius, was born. Get ready to have your mind blown, people, because our next story involves a melted candy bar and the invention that changed the way we cook forever. The microwave oven. Percy Spencer. It all started in 1945 when I was working at Raytheon on radar equipment. One fateful day while standing near a magnetron, that's the thingamajig that makes radar waves, I felt something strange. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his candy bar, only to find it had melted into a gooey mess. Percy Spencer. Now, most of us would probably just shrug it off as a bad day for candy. But I was intrigued, so like any good scientist, he decided to experiment. He put popcorn kernels near the magnetron. Bam! Popcorn explosion, Percy Spencer. Next, I tried an egg. Boom, scrambled eggs, no pan required. Spencer realized he had stumbled upon a revolutionary way to cook food quickly using electromagnetic waves, and thus the microwave oven was born. Hold on to your soda bottles, folks, because we're about to dive into the surprisingly accidental history of Coca-Cola. John Pemberton. Our story begins in 1886 in Atlanta, Georgia. I wasn't trying to create the world's most popular soft drink. I was on a quest to concoct a cure for headaches. Pemberton's secret formula included coca leaves and cola nuts, hence the catchy name Coca-Cola. He mixed these ingredients with carbonated water, thinking it would make his headache remedy more appealing. John Pemberton, little did I know, I'd accidentally created a beverage that would take the world by storm. People loved the taste of Coca-Cola, even if it didn't cure their headaches. It became a sensation, a symbol of American culture. John Pemberton. So the next time you crack open a can of Coke, remember, it all started with a quest for a headache cure. Get ready for a tale of two brothers, a sanatorium, and a breakfast revolution. Our story takes us back to the 1890s, where we meet Dr. John Harvey Kellogg and his brother, Will Keith Kellogg. The Kellogg brothers ran a sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan, and they were big believers in healthy living. One day, they were experimenting with different grains, trying to create a more digestible bread for their patients. They boiled some wheat, hoping to make dough, but they accidentally left it out for too long. The wheat became stale, but instead of tossing it, they decided to run it through rollers, hoping to salvage something. To their surprise, the wheat didn't form sheets of dough. It flaked apart into crispy individual pieces. They toasted these flakes, and voila, cornflakes, the breakfast cereal that would change the way the world started its day, were born. Next time you're enjoying a bowl of cereal, remember the Kellogg brothers and their accidentally awesome creation? Our next story takes us from the breakfast table to the, well, let's just say it involves a surprising side effect and a whole lot of happy customers. It all started in the 1990s with a drug called sildenafil citrate, which was being developed by Pfizer as a treatment for angina, a heart condition that causes chest pain. During clinical trials, the drug showed some promise in relieving angina symptoms, but there was one, shall we say, unexpected side effect. Many male participants reported experiencing increased blood flow to a certain area. If you catch my drift, at first this side effect was seen as, well, an unfortunate hiccup. But then someone had a light bulb moment. What if this side effect wasn't a problem, but an opportunity? Pfizer decided to shift gears and explore sildenafil citrate's potential as a treatment for erectile dysfunction. And thus, Viagra, the little blue pill that revolutionized the treatment of ED, was born. Seeing through stuff, the accidental discovery of X-rays. Hold on to your bones, folks. We're delving into the world of X-rays, a discovery that revolutionized medicine. In 1895, Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen, a German physicist, was experimenting with cathode rays. He noticed something strange. Even when the tube was covered, a screen across the room would fluoresce. Röntgen had stumbled upon a mysterious radiation that could pass through solid objects. He called it X-radiation because X marks the spot of the unknown. He took the first X-ray image of his wife's hand, revealing her bones and wedding ring. Thanks to Röntgen's discovery, we now have X-rays to diagnose and treat medical conditions. The superglue saga from gun sights to super strong bonds. Get ready for a sticky situation that turned into a super strong success story. In 1942, Dr. Harry Coover, a chemist at Eastman Kodak, was developing a clear plastic for gun sights. He experimented with cyanoacrylate, which bonded to everything it touched. Frustrated, Coover shelved it as a failure. 9 years later, while seeking a heat-resistant adhesive for airplane canopies, he recalled cyanoacrylate, and thus, superglue, the adhesive that could hold the world together, was born. From battleship to toy chest, the Slinky's unexpected journey. Our final story of accidental brilliance takes us from the high seas to the toy chest with a springy Slinky surprise. It all started in 1943 with Richard James, a naval engineer who was working on a serious project developing springs that could stabilize sensitive instruments on ships during rough seas.
One day, while I was working in my lab, a spring accidentally tumbled off a shelf. Instead of simply falling to the ground, the spring did something unexpected. It walked down a stack of books, then onto the floor, where it continued its slinky journey.
James was intrigued. He showed the spring to his wife, Betty, and together they saw its potential, not as a nautical device, but as a toy. Betty came up with the name Slinky, and the rest, as they say, is toy history. This simple, springy creation, born from a lab accident, captured the hearts and stares of children everywhere. That's a wrap, and there you have it. 10 hilarious mistakes that ended up changing the world. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. From moldy petri dishes to melted candy bars, these stories prove that sometimes the greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected places. So the next time you make a mistake, don't fret. You never know what brilliant invention might be just around the corner. And finally, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more amazing content.